Man, that song is fire, bro. That song is probably one of the most underrated Drake songs like of all time. Like that's probably like one of my all-time faves. I actually had to send that to someone before, man. I ain't gonna call you out. I had to send it to someone, man. Honestly, and it was the part where he was like, I should have had the discipline to leave your ass at home, but you make it hard to. You know what I'm saying? So like, there is just some times where I was just so annoyed with women that I've dated in the past, or women I not really dated, or I just kind of like dealt with. Um, I feel like they made it difficult. Even though I was being nice, I was being good to them. You know what I'm saying? So try our best. Like that hit me in a different way when Drake came out with that song. I was like, yo, this shit is dope as f. I quickly related to it, and I ain't gonna lie. As soon as I heard that song, I sent it straight to the person who needed it. I sent it straight to him. I sent it straight to him like off rip, and then they blocked me. Forget riddance. You know what I'm saying? Good, but nonetheless, man, welcome to Too Easy Playbook. So I have a few announcements I want to make. I will be doing a live fantasy draft next weekend, August 1st. I'll get you the times. You'll see the times on Instagram. So go on my Instagram. You'll see the times where I'm going to do a live fantasy draft. I will also, this week, me and Barco, the host of Too Easy Podcast, we're going to be going over our top 5 fantasy picks for every single position. So if y'all are interested in seeing that, if y'all are interested in boosting your fantasy team or picking the right person, make sure you tune in to next week because we will be dropping hella content on football. Football season is upon us. It's coming, and I can't wait for it, man. I can't wait for football season, man. I feel like it's been like nothing going on, bro. So yeah, man. But let's get down to it, man. What I wanted to talk about today is pretty much some lessons that I learned as a 24-year-old male, and not 24. I'm tripping. 28, 24. Yeah, I look 24 though. I look 24, but I'm 28 years old. So I just want to talk about some lessons that I learned as a 20-year-old male and some books that I read that actually helped me along the way. Probably one of my favorite books. I would say probably the staple book every man or like every person who actually cares about money should read. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Man, the lessons in that book will take you from your mindset down here to your mindset up here. You know, and the main lesson in that book overall is to think like a rich person. That's typically what it's talking about. Think like a rich person. Do not think like a poor person. Because if you think like a poor person, you're gonna be poor. Or if you think like a middle class person, you're gonna be middle class. You know what I mean? So you got to understand the concepts of that book to really thrive and really understand money. You know what I'm saying? And that's not the only book about money out there, but that's one of the staple books for any person to pick up and just understand what's going on, because he breaks it down on such a rudimentary level, like a high schooler can pick that up and instantly change their mindset about money. So I want to go into a few things. Like I said, this is Too Easy Playbook. I give you guys a playbook on life. I give you the heads up. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, who am I? 28-year-old male, right? You know what I'm saying? Who am I? But I actually have life experience. I actually have a lot of things that I've done, a lot of mistakes that I've made, and a lot of things that I wish I could take back or I wish I could do differently. So let's start with a few of them. Getting money too fast. So I I want to say a few years ago. A few years ago, I received a lump sum of money, a lot of money at one time, and it was due to a certain whatever. It was due to a certain sale. So, and I received that lump sum of money. I thought I knew what to do with it, but I did not know what to do with it. So, because I've never experienced receiving like an abundant amount of money at one time, I pretty much made all the mistakes that I could have made in terms of evaporating that money like that. So the main thing you want to do, because there are gonna come times in your life where you receive a lot of money, whether it be like, hey, like you win your fantasy league, something simple, something really small that you don't realize like that adds up over time. Let's say you win your fantasy league, or you sell your car, or you win at Vegas, or you get a big bonus for a new job, some type of transaction to where you receive more than 5 to 10k, between 5 to 10k or more at one time. What you need to do, the first thing you need to do is you need to reach out to a person who is used to receiving that type of money like that. So if you have a financial advisor, I would say if it's like $5,000 or less, a financial advisor would be really good. Just find like your nearest financial person at the library or something like that, and just speak to them about it. Like, hey, look, I've received this big lump sum of money at one time. Just trying to figure out what to do with it. Like, just trying to figure out what to do with it because I don't know what to do with it. I'm probably gonna just spend it on, alcohol, booze, women. Typically, what people end up doing, they end up spending it on BS or like furniture, just random things. Always have a plan for your money, but have someone smarter than you help you develop that plan. Because I tell you, man, a lot of times we have like a plan for our money, and then our money ends up just evaporating because we just we think that we got it like that, and everywhere we go we just swiping. Oh yeah, I want this, I want this, I want this. Yeah, I mean, don't worry about it. I got you. Or we go buy a new car or something like that. A lot of people do that. They'll get a lump sum of money and then they'll just go buy a new car, and then you get into like a whole nother debt, basically. So that's probably one of the number one things. Like I would say, like there's gonna come a time between like when you're 18 to like 28. So 10 years I've been in as an adult. There's gonna come a time where you receive a large sum of money, whether it's your job, like I said, whether it's your job, whether it's winning a lottery or winning some type of money, you're going to receive a large sum of cash. It could be taxes, it could be anything. You got to know what to do with that money. Otherwise, that money is going to get just evaporate. So reach out to your mentor, reach out to people to help you out on that stuff. Another thing, debt. Another lesson that I learned: there is good debt and there's bad debt, and it just depends on how you use it. You know what I mean? So debt should not be more than a certain percentage of your income. It should not take away from your income. It should be something that you use to build credit. So a lot of people are scared of credit cards. Me, I was never scared of credit cards. I'm a very risky person. I like, taking risk and stuff like that. So I instantly got a credit card as soon as I was eligible. I think I was like 19 years old, whatever. I got a credit card. I started just swiping. You know what I'm saying? And then I ended up in this abundant amount of debt that I could not crawl out of. And what I did, my natural response to that was was trying to eliminate their debt by getting another source of income. You know what I'm saying? By increasing my income and eliminating that debt. But there's good debt and there's bad debt. But the thing is that the way it becomes bad is when the debt starts to control you. When a debt starts controlling like your lifestyle, like you can't do certain things because you're like, I don't know, man, I gotta pay these bills, or I gotta do this, I gotta do that. That's bad debt. But good debt is like, okay, I'm gonna go to the grocery store, I'm gonna put this on credit because my next paycheck I'm gonna completely pay, this payment that I just put on credit off. That's good debt. Also, another form of good debt is real estate, or yeah, real estate. Real estate is good debt. And I'm not talking about a single family home. I'm not talking about a big house or anything like that. I'm talking about real estate as in a an asset that produces money for you. So a duplex, triplex, quadplex, apartment complex, whatever, whatnot. If you have that type of debt, you're good because that debt involves equity. It increases in value over time. Not to say things are always going to increase in value over time. Just looking at history and just looking at the way the American economy works, typically real estate always appreciate in value depending on what it is, right? Things always Cost of things always go up. So typically that real estate is always going to go up. So you want to put your money in sources of real estate that are good debt. But if you get a single family home, right? So let's say you know a lot of people they get a single family home, right? And then obviously you can gain equity in your own home and things of that nature. However, you're not that asset is not paying you. Like at the same time, like the single family home is not paying because you're living in it. You're paying for the actual expense of the debt. You know what I'm saying? You need the debt to be working for you. So the good debt will be to buy a duplex. You buy a duplex, you live in one side, and you rent out the other side. And then the whoever lives on the other, whoever the tenant is that lives on the other side, pays at least up to 80% of what the loan is. That way, not only are you getting equity, but you're paying cents on a dollar for mortgage because someone else is assisting you paying that actual loan, that actual debt. So that's something you got to look out for. You got to look out for how you use debt. The smartest way to use debt, right, is to not overindulge in things because when you use your credit card, you just swiping your credit card, that shit will add up. And then the bank will take its interest and they will increase their interest. And they want you to keep spending. They want you to get in the habit of keep spending so you can owe them more money over time. Typically, people end up paying banks up to $200,000, 300,000, or possibly more over a lifespan, all because they misuse debt in the wrong way. But if you're careful with it, right? If you're very methodical in the way that you use debt, you probably swipe your card one time every paycheck or something like that, and you pay it off after the paycheck, and you build that good debt, that good credit, then you're in the green. You know what I mean? So that's where we want to be. We want to be in the green, or we want to be in the black, is what they really call it. You want to be in the black all the time. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to have debt work against you. So you don't want to use the credit card debt because you don't have any money in your pocket, basically. So if you don't have the money in your pocket, you shouldn't be using your credit card. You should be definitely finding other ways to use that. Oh yeah, look at it. Shout out to my Colombiana, Colombiana princesa, Colombiana princesa. Yeah. So that's how you want to use debt, man. So, like I said, number one thing, when you get a large sum of money at one time, figure out what to do with it before it figures it out for you. And then debt, the way you use debt, use it in the smartest way. Make sure that you're always using debt in the smartest way. And the third lesson, and this is probably one of the most powerful lessons in that book alone. The rich do not work for money. Sounds crazy, right? It sounds insane, but it's legit. The rich do not work for money. The rich works for experiences and they put people to work for money. So when you have a job, right, you shouldn't be working that job for money. You should be utilizing that job as an experience to utilize to fund your own dream or your own business or something like that. You know what I mean? So that's how you should be doing it when you have like a when you have an idea, like a business idea. You should be using the money that you're getting now to fund that dream later on. So never work for money. I don't care if you work at McDonald's. I don't care if you're freaking door dashing. I don't care if you're in the military like me. Never work for money, because what you end up doing is you end up getting into this mindset of living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm guilty of it. I am super guilty of it. I had to break myself out of this habit. Like it took everything. It took everything to break me out of the habit of living paycheck to paycheck. And it's because when you get paid more money, your desires increase. So I've been in the military for a while. Over the years, my income increased, right? At the same time, you would think that, oh, my income increased, I should be good, or I should be like over in abundance. No, human nature, like the law of human nature, will make you legit have more desires because you have more money. So that I had to learn how to disconnect that desire with the money and started saving for my future self, or not saving, but investing for my future self. So you got to realize you can't work for money. You have to make money work for you. Every dollar that you receive should have a name. Like every dollar that comes from your check should be, this amount of money is going to this bill. This amount of money is going to my investments. This amount of money is going to my 401k. This amount of money is going to, my girlfriend. This amount of money is going to my mother. Every dollar should have a name. If not, the money's just going to evaporate. Because money's not real. Money, however you guys think, whatever you guys believe, money is not real. Like, this is not real. It's just a piece of paper. The idea of it is real. We give it value, we give it worth, but essentially, this is nothing. This is just a piece of paper. Like, this can be replicated. People do it all the time. But what brings it value is the value that we put on it. So you got to understand that you got to use the opposite, vice versa side of that. You got to put value on every single dollar that you receive from your income. So never work for money, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. Never work for money. The rich do not work for money. They use their money to buy back time. So how do you do that? Like I was saying, real estate. So if you have real estate, right? I plan to own real estate in the future in the next 2 years, right? I'm planning to own a few duplexes and maybe a triplex or something like that, hopefully. Those assets are going to replace the check that I receive right now. That's the goal. The goal is to replace all the money that I'm receiving right now, every paycheck, and I get that from my assets. That's my goal. To reduce, the amount of desire that I have to use my paycheck that I receive from working. So essentially, you should be in a place where you work because you want to. You work at a specific place because you desire and want to work there. Like me, I am in the Marine Corps. I want to be in the Marine Corps. Not I have to be in the Marine Corps or I need to be in the Marine Corps. Like I need a check. That's the mindset that you have to shift. You have to be in a position to where, hey, I'm working this job not because I need it, only because I'm here to fund my dream, or I'm here because it's teaching me these things, and I'm going to use these things to start my own business and start my own thing so I can make money from that. So that's how you delineate into that abundance mindset. And then the fourth thing, right? The fourth thing, assets versus liabilities. Man, we are all guilty of this. We are all guilty of assets buying liabilities over assets. So what is the difference between an asset and a liability? Well, there are several differences. I would say, for example, right? This mic is for the podcast, right? Essentially, I didn't buy this. I was gifted this, but let's say I bought this mic, right? And then I just bought it to look cool. Well, it's a liability. Well, it looks cool when I do the podcast, right? It's a liability. It doesn't bring any value to my life, or it doesn't bring any money to my life or something like that. Right now, it is a liability, right? If I had bought it will be a liability because I'm not monetized on the podcast yet, right? But eventually, this mic will become an asset because this mic creates better sound for me every time I do videos. So that's the goal. So assets and liabilities, right? So a liability, right? Name brand clothing. Just to keep it simple, right? Name brand clothing. You got your polo. You got, I don't even wear name brand nowadays. Like I literally stopped wearing name brand so a long time ago. Let's say like Beats headphones, jerseys, right? You got the most authentic NFL jersey, right? Things of that nature. When you buy those things are considered liabilities because they do not bring you any money. Things that bring you money are considered assets. So, what would be an example of an asset? Stocks, real estate, cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency. Believe it or not, cryptocurrency is an asset, and I can prove it to you. Um, I logged into my crypto app today, right? I know this is a long time ago, but I logged into my crypto app today, and it gives you the option, right? Right now, I have a nice value over, over. Let's just say over. I ain't gonna say the exact amount. Let's just say over 800, right? Over $800. I can take out a loan from my crypto based on the amount of money I have in there at value. Think about that. I can take out a loan, like a legit, like a quick loan based on the amount of money that I have in my crypto. So, crypto, yes, it is now considered an asset because if you can utilize crypto to fund something else, right? Then it becomes an asset. Or obviously you can sell out of crypto too, but then it becomes more transactional than it is an asset. It becomes more of a transactional piece. Stocks, crypto, and real estate, three phenomenal assets. I can tell you another asset. I used to see people do this all the time when I was younger. People would buy Jordans. People would buy like the most rare Jordans, right? And then they will hold on to them for like maybe a year, and then they would resell them. Now, it's a little bit old school, but that's a form of buying an asset. You holding on to something that has value and then reselling it. Yeah, that's an asset. But let's say you buy a computer, right? You buy a computer for college. No, that's a liability because you're buying a computer for college. College is not going to give you money. In fact, college is designed to keep you in a worker's mentality and not a person that thinks in an abundant mentality that wants to make money, that wants to start a business. So, a computer in that case becomes a liability. But if I use my computer like I'm using now to film a podcast that pays me money, now my computer is an asset. Now my computer. So the difference between asset and liabilities is asset brings you money, asset gives back to you and makes your value go up. Liabilities do nothing. In fact, it can make your value go down if you have too many liabilities. And I used an example a few minutes ago about like a single family home and why it's not like a good investment. A single family home ideally is a good investment after you already made enough money. But to me and to a lot of people that are rich, and I'm not saying I'm rich, but to me and a lot of people that are in that higher status, a single family home is considered a liability because it's something that you pay for. You're paying into, you're paying rent towards, you know what I'm saying? And you're paying taxes on top of the rent, and you're paying HOA fees on top of that. You're paying all these things just to have a single family home that does not bring you any money back. Yes, it grows in equity, but that requires you to sell the home, which you got to pay taxes on top of that once you sell. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not a good investment, especially if you're in your early 20s. So for me, I bought a single family home when I was 23. I bought a single family home when I was 23. It was nice. It was beautiful. Everything I ever wanted, at least I thought. But then I started to realize I'm just paying a shit ton of money for a place that I don't even own. Yeah, I own it on paper, the deed, but who does it really belong to? It really belongs to the bank. The bank can come, if I stop making the mortgage payment, the bank can come seize this property. If I stop making a payment on the taxes or whatever, the city or the government could come seize the property. So it's not technically mine. And I realized that, and I immediately had to think. What I did was I ended up moving out, and I ended up getting a person to rent out my home, my single family home, which was a good idea, but at the same time, it wasn't good enough in terms of making a lot of money because I only made just enough just to pay for expenses because of the tenants. They would break stuff, or they would like mess things. They would need some type of servicing every single month, or like at least twice a month, 2 or 3 times a month, right? So I was never really gaining anything. In fact, like I lost money, and I got money back in taxes, luckily. So, but it's not a good investment, a single family home. Like I literally tried the method of having a single family home and renting it out to someone while I live in another place, and legit, it worked out horribly. It worked out absolutely horrible. So I ended up, selling at home a few years later, and then got out of that shitty deal because it was not a good deal. So my next deal that I'm gonna get into when I move to my next unit will be residential real estate. Duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, apartment complexes, 8s, 12s, whatever, 16s, whatever you got for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming. I'm coming to get it. That's what I want. Because the more doors you have, the more income you're receiving, and then the amount of expenses that you're going to have to pay for, each and every individual that lives and occupies those rooms are going to be less, because or are going to be more, but you're going to have the extra additional money to pay for those things. So, like I said, single family home, liability. Duplex, triplex, quadplex, asset. Asset. So in that book, you pretty much have to understand that there is a distinct difference between assets and liabilities. And the goal for you is to acquire more assets. Why? Because assets buy back your time. An asset, like a business, right? Let's say you own a business and you're just the owner, right? You're not like operating it, like you're the owner. And that's an asset because it's paying for itself, one, if you borrowed a loan, and then it's also paying for you and probably your house or whatever stuff that you own. And then let's say you already have income that you're receiving from another job. So now you have two sources of income that are combining together in unity, right? So that's what you want. You want to use your income that you have to buy assets. Use your income to buy assets. Liabilities, what you want to do. Now, I'm not saying you can't buy liabilities, right? So I know people can't go their whole life without buying liabilities. You're going to want to buy a new TV one day. You're going to want to buy a nice bed. You're going to want to buy these type of things. However, what you need to consider is using the money that you make from your assets to buy liabilities, because it's money that you don't have to do anything to get, like stocks. I own a lot of stocks. Some of them stocks, well, actually, all the stocks are dividend stocks. Dividend stocks pay you money without you having to even do anything. You literally just wake up. You literally just wake up and just be alive, and you're going to get paid a dividend. So I started investing into ETFs a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. I started heavily investing into ETFs. So I'm at the point right now where I make a decent amount of money when it comes to dividends every single month. Every single month, I make some dividends. I have one that actually pays me every week. So when it comes to that, those investments, the money that I receive from those investments, I can use that to buy my liabilities because I did not work for it. It's not a part of my income. It's just money that I got from something that I didn't do anything for. But what I choose to do is use that money to keep buying back more assets instead of using that money to buy liabilities. But that will be a scenario where you can buy a liability, right? Let's say you make like $100 worth of dividends, and you want to go and buy this $100 bottle at the club, right? Typically, I'm just using an example that typically people do. You want to buy $100 bottle at a club, and you want to use the $100 in dividends that you received this month to do it. That's okay, because you didn't work for it. You didn't put in 30, 40, 50 hours this week to work for that $100. You know what I mean? It was something that was given to you because you bought the asset. So it's better to buy assets than liabilities. Always buy assets before you buy liabilities. The way it should work, right? When you get paid, you should rip, off rip pay yourself. And I say that to say this. When I say pay yourself, I mean buy assets way before, well before you even pay a bill. Buy the asset first. Pay yourself first because you're setting yourself up and putting yourself in the mindset that you matter more than the bills that you got to pay for, the light bill, water bill, whatever, stuff like that. You matter more than any of that stuff because that stuff is temporary. That stuff is temporary. Those companies change. Those companies will bug you. They need their money, whatever. Who cares? You pay yourself first. Make sure you can cover your bills, obviously. But you make sure as soon as you get paid, you pay you. Whatever asset you choose to indulge in. Me, like I said, dividend stocks, ETFs, crypto. Those are my assets for right now. Next year, duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, eight octo. What do you call eight plexes? I think you call it eight plexes. I don't know. Eight plexes. So that's what I'm gonna be indulging in. And then the final lesson that I learned in this short period of time of 10 years of being 28. Man, taxes, dog. Taxes. Let me just give you a background history of taxes, man. I'll just be honest with you. Taxes in the last 200 years got out of hand. Let's just say, if you work a job, half that year of wages you're paying in taxes. You're pretty much paying between 30 and 40% of your income in taxes. You need to figure out a way to not pay so much money in taxes. So when you have certain and that's where it comes where you need some type of business. And I'm not saying go and get an LLC. I'm not saying go and buy a business off rip, but that's how you escape taxes. You have to find a way to get receipts so you can say, hey, I have all these expenses, so I cannot pay this much money in taxes. I've been hit one bad time 1 year for taxes. I ended up paying, it wasn't even that bad. It was $600. I ended up paying $600 in income tax, right? Mad as hell. I'm livid. I'm mad. I'm like, yo, I paid $600 in freaking taxes, bro. I've never paid money in taxes. I always either break even or I get some money back, But I ended up paying $600 in taxes because I did not take the time to add up my expenses, add up all the amount of things I've done throughout the year, and then add my business expense along with that, like the podcast, or let's say you do some type of DoorDash, or you do some type of something that has expenses that's associated with your job. So ever since then, I've been looking for every single thing to claim as an expense. I've been keeping receipts. I would screenshot it, put it in a folder in my phone, and because I'm not playing no more. I am not paying taxes no more. People get mad, you know what I'm saying? People get mad at like the president because the current president he avoids paying taxes, or he pays like a very few amount of money in taxes. People get mad at him for it. And I'm like, why are you getting mad at a rich person who's utilizing a system to not pay taxes or to put his money? I'd rather put my money where it matters to me than let the government use my money to where it matters to them. So let me go and put my money into personal development for me. I'm literally using personal development classes, as in like I purchased like personal development classes just for taxes. Legit. I purchased like a class, I can't remember. I purchased a specific, I don't want to say it. I purchased a specific class that was, I think, $4,000. It was like it was $4,000. I purchased that class specifically so I can deduct that from my taxes. And another thing I do, So I film a lot of content in Colombia. I film content in Colombia, and obviously I have a podcast, and I have Instagram. I have a business account on Instagram. I have Twitch. I have all these different things. I keep all my receipts for when I fly on a plane or any expenses that I purchase that it comes along with my travel. I keep those receipts so that way at the end of the year, hey, I have these additional expenses because I have a podcast, and then I do all these different things that assist me with my podcast because I'm creating content, and now that's taxable. That's taxable deductions. You got to think like a rich person. You got to think in a way that benefits your life the most. You can't think in a way how people just want to be comfortable, just receive a check for the rest of their life and just be comfortable with that. You got to think in abundance. You got to think how rich people think. That's the only way you're going to succeed. Or really, it's the only way that you're going to be fulfilled, essentially. You know what I mean? But yeah, those are the five pretty much lessons that I can give for Too Easy Playbook. Pretty much. There are some other lessons, obviously, but this is just money wise. You know what I'm saying? If you get a large lump sum of money, get somebody smarter than you to help you manage that money. Assets over liabilities. Good debt, and there's bad debt. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Like I said, good debt, real estate. Depends on what real estate you buy. Good debt, real estate. Bad, or let's say a business loan. A business loan is also good debt because your business is paying for that loan. You don't have to come out of your own income to pay for that loan because your business is paying for it. It's already paying. It pays itself. That's good debt. You're using someone else's money to fund your dream. That's how you should be doing things. You should be using someone else's money. Actually, Elon Musk does this. Elon Musk does not does not have liquid cash. He does not keep liquid. He does not pay himself in liquid cash. He pays himself in Tesla shares. Literally, he pays himself in Tesla shares. So when it comes down to it, at the end of the year, when it's time for him to pay taxes, well, guess what? He received no income. The only thing he received is shares. So, which can't be essentially counted as income unless you sell it. So, think like a rich person, man. Think like a rich person. Avoid taxes, buy assets so your assets can buy your liabilities. Don't buy a single family home unless you can unless your assets can afford a single family home. Make sure you stay away from bad debt. Always keep good debt. Always keep good debt. Good debt is good. Bad debt is bad. Bad debt, credit card. Overuse of credit card. A little bit of debt on credit card ain't too bad. I would say under 30% of your full allotted amount of money that you can spend on your credit card. That's good. Under 30%. Anything over that, like I said, don't know your income, don't know your financial situation. 9 times out of 10, if you're over that 30% mark, you probably have some bad debt. But yeah, that's God dang it, Richard. God dang, I know you see me on the podcast. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. Appreciate it, Richard. Appreciate you, Richard. For goddamn, I know you see me on the podcast, man. You're gonna come in and just start messing up my shit, man. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. This is Too Easy Playbook. This is your boy. You see the name, CP. You know what I'm saying? Colombia Papacito. Don't say it unless you're gonna say it right. You know what I mean? It's CP. You know why? Because I'm always in Colombia. I'm always going to Colombia. I actually got a video that I'm gonna drop. The do's and don'ts of going to Colombia. You might want to pay attention to it. If you love my content, if you love how all the excursions and things that I do in Colombia, if you want to learn more about that stuff, I'm going to be dropping a video about that soon. But it's been real, it's been raw, and much love, man. This is a Too Easy Playbook. I'll see y'all.